Hey there guys, I hope you guys are having an amazing day today, and today I'm really excited because I finally got my first DC figures from Mattel. This is really good news because for the longest time, I don't remember what year it was, but McFarlane got the rights to it, and quite frankly, I do not like McFarlane stuff. And to see Mattel finally getting the rights to the toys again is pretty good. And looks like Mattel really wants DC to be super successful because they have done an amazing job with these basic figures. And again, these are just the basic ones. In 2027, that's when we're gonna get the more collector figures. But for now, these things right here, they're pretty good, and I highly recommend you get them, especially for the price. They're going for about $13 at retail, which is pretty good. Now, originally I wanted to get the whole wave on Amazon. However, for some reason, this Batman figure was going for like $20. And keep in mind, that's directly from Amazon. It wasn't from like a third-party seller. And the Joker was going for like 16 bucks. So I decided to go to Target and hope that they had them. And luckily for me, they did have two of them. Unfortunately, they did not have Robin or the Joker. But that's fine. I'll simply wait it out and hopefully I'll get those figures eventually. But for now, I'm really happy that I got the Batman one at the regular price of $13. And man, I just gotta say that Mattel is really killing it with these. As you can see, these two figures side by side, they look about the same in height as long as you ignore the bat ears on Batman. However, to give you a better comparison, here he is next to a figure from Playmates. This is the Godzilla Green Ranger. And keep in mind that this figure from Playmates is actually more expensive. If I remember correctly, it's like 15 bucks, while Mattel's DC figures are like $13. And not only are they bigger, but I would say that the articulation is also better, which is pretty good. And what's really nice, if you're a 1/12 scale collector like me, these figures fit in perfectly. As you can see, here is my Marvel Legends Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man. Now yes, Batman is slightly taller, however, it's close enough that it doesn't really bother me. And if you're a 1/12 collector, I think these figures are going to look really good next to any like Marvel characters. And here's to give you a closer look, and while I do wish that the DC figures were slightly smaller, honestly the scaling is close enough that once you get him in posing, it's not really going to matter. I don't think you'll be able to tell once you actually put these figures in some kind of pose. But it is pretty cool to see how good they do look together, and this really makes me excited because, again, I'm a 1/12 collector, and these figures are definitely going to look really nice on my display. And they're definitely doing a better job than Playmates. For those of you guys that aren't aware, my number one franchise is Power Rangers, second is Dragon Ball, and number three is DC. And unfortunately with Playmates, they've been making all these decisions that I personally don't like. For example, here is their Green Ranger from the Godzilla crossover again. And look at how much shorter he is compared to Spider-Man. And then when you put them right next to each other, it just looks even worse. Unfortunately, I really wish that Playmates would just start making figures more like Mattel. Mattel is definitely showing Playmates how it's done. These figures, they're just pretty much perfect in my opinion. Again, except for the fact that they're like slightly too tall, but that honestly I can ignore that because it's close enough. Now let's start with Batman, and as you can see, he does have a lot of sculpting detail throughout the whole body, which is pretty nice. And on top of that, most of like these pointy bits, they are made of a softer plastic, which is really nice. Even the ones on his arms. Now, when it comes to articulation, it is also pretty good. As you can see, he does have a belt, but he still can rotate it left and right. And the belt is actually removable, which is nice. And he does have slots in the back, so you can put some of his accessories. And speaking of accessories, you will have to cut them out. They're completely unpainted plastic, but you also gotta cut them out individually. But once you do, you get a nice deal of accessories. I have no idea what these top two ones are, but at least you get a couple of batarangs. You get his grapple gun. You get these cylinder thingies. I'm guessing they're like bombs or something. And then you got this thing, which I have no idea what it's for. And what's really nice is that these things are actually connectable. So if you get more figures that come with stuff like this, like the Robin one, you'll be able to connect them. Although mine came out pretty warped. I'm going to have to fix that later. That's why it cannot stand at the moment. And as you can see, I already connected these ones right here to the belt. Of course, putting it back is pretty easy. And speaking of with Batman, he does have this hole. Now, I don't know how I feel about this having a hole in the cape. Like, I get it. I get why it's there, but honestly, I'm kind of conflicted because I don't like it. But yet, at the same time, it seems really useful if you just want him to be in a standing pose and you can't get him to stand up for some reason. And when it comes to the quality control of the paint, it all came out pretty good. Now, granted, it's mostly unpainted plastic. The only paint that you'll see is on the face right here. You got the paint for the skin, you got the paint for the eyes, and you got this Bat logo, and that's about it with Batman. But it all looks pretty clean. The same thing goes for the Flash. He's mostly unpainted plastic. However, he does have some yellow paint for here. The yellow paint on his arms. The symbol. And I'm guessing, oh no, I think this is a separate piece right there for the yellow ears. I think that's a separate piece. But honestly, it looks pretty good. Again, it's 13 bucks, so honestly, I really don't care. Now, when it comes to the Flash, he's definitely more plain looking. Batman has way more sculpting detail throughout the whole body, the torso, the arms, the legs, the back. There's definitely more sculpt work into this figure, which looks pretty nice. But with the Flash, even though he is more plain looking, at the very least he does have detail for the muscle definition. Or should I say the muscles throughout the whole body, I mean. Now when it comes to the articulation, it's pretty much the same. There is no neck articulation because obviously, you know, it's a basic figure. He's not going to have stuff like that. But he does have, his head is on a ball joint, so he can rotate around, move a little bit, which is nice. His arms can T-pose, which looks really nice. Then his arms can rotate around. His elbows can bend this much. He does have hand articulation. His body can rotate around. This is about as high up as he can kick. And this is about as much as his knees can bend. And it is a double jointed knee, which is pretty nice. And that's about it. There's no articulation for his boots or his foot, I mean. But again, it's a basic figure, so it's really not needed. And when it comes to the Flash's accessory, he does get this Speed Force shield. And basically the way it works, you gotta put in this hook right here. And then you just connect it to one of his arms, and he basically now has a shield, making him pretty much Captain America. On top of that, he also gets this big one right here that just plugs into his back. And then he gets these ones right here. He gets two of these, and you just gotta connect them to his foot, or to the back of his foot, I mean. And then these ones, I'm guessing, according to the instructions, he has to hold these in his hands. Hold on. And just keep in mind that the hands are made of a softer plastic. You don't have to worry about breaking them. And yeah, that's pretty much it with his accessories. There is one more. He gets this lightning bolt, but it doesn't connect anywhere. So I'm guessing you just do whatever you want with this. And I gotta say, I definitely like the Flash's accessories because they're universal. You can pretty much use them on any figure, which is pretty nice. Hey, be very careful when using these. While I was playing around with the figure, I noticed that I was like scraping bits and pieces of the plastic. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but it's definitely damaging the figure. There's some damages right here on the foot. I also tried putting them on the arms, and it did a little bit of damage. So yeah, be careful when using these. I highly recommend that you heat them up before using them. Yeah, because they definitely will damage the figure, and the more you do it, the worse it's gonna get. So just be careful with that. Now, what are my overall thoughts on these figures? Well, I do like them a lot. There's one thing that I don't like about these figures, and that is the fact that they don't have any foot articulation. As you notice, they do have articulation in the hands, which is pretty nice. However, it's not like they give you any alternate hands to swap out with. The ones you get by default are the only ones that you get. And personally, I would rather that they have articulation for the foot, because that would make them easier to stand on any surface. And as you can see right now, when it comes to Batman, he needs to have a stand with him just to get him to not fall while he's crouching. So that's pretty bad. Yeah, if they can swap that out for future releases, that would be way better in my opinion. But honestly, overall, these are basic figures. They're for kids, and for kid toys, these are pretty good. Like, honestly, these are way better than what Playmates is making right now with Power Rangers. And honestly, If there's one thing that you should take from this, at least, is that I really wish that Playmates was making figures like this, but for Power Rangers. This is definitely what I want, to see more in this company. And I'll definitely be collecting all of these figures from Mattel moving forward. So yeah, you can expect me to review all these as they come out. And if you guys if you guys aren't aware, someone already got their hands on a Superman figure from Wave 2. It looks like we're gonna be getting John Stewart Green Lantern, Superman, and like 2 Batman variants. Now I am pretty disappointed that they're already doing the Batman thing in every wave. Yeah, so I don't know if I'll be getting the Batman ones, but I'll definitely be getting Superman and John Stewart, that's for sure. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Later.